Hi, I'm Enrique. I'm a design engineer who likes building simple products that solve real problems. I'm especially interested in AI because it can remove the busy work and let people focus on what they do best, the creative part. That's really the kind of products that I enjoy building. So I will walk you through Aria, which is a project I've been working on, a personal project. It's an AI travel companion that learns who you are as a traveler and also uses that context to help plan and personalize your trips. To build it, I use a coding editor. I use Google Anti-Gravity. I still like to see the code because I'm trained as a software engineer and I want to make sure that things are built properly. So I still use a coding editor, um, but I normally don't hand code anymore. So a lot of it will be written by the coding editor itself. This is Arya, the AI travel expert or travel partner that you would have. So the idea is you chat with Arya and she will figure out your itinerary. There is some UI elements to this, like these guides and destinations that you can bookmark. And whatever you bookmark gets fed in as context. There is a travel DNA that gets created on a user. So it uses a wiki style knowledge graph of doing that. Here is Sardinia, a trip that I just did. There is a map that you can interact with, so you could see kind of the lay of the land here. We went to Alghero. We only stayed for around 6 days, I believe. So I used Aria to plan all that out. So the wiki knowledge graph is something that I learned from Andrei Karpathy, but it's a way of generating real-time, up-to-date context that can be sent as a markdown file or as text to the AI itself. And it helps with keeping it simple, scalable, and portable. Anyone can take their wiki knowledge graph off this and keep it for themselves because it is just a text file. The destinations also are done in wiki, as well as JSON. I have two of them, but the wiki is what's sent to Gemini Flash, which is what I use as the backend. So here's Alghero. There's a very famous beach, this one, La Pelosa, that is knee height. So that was definitely one of the things that we went to. You had to actually buy tickets to it, and the AI knew that you had to do that, so that was very helpful. The AI also knows who I'm traveling with. In this case, two kids and my wife who just got ACL, who's recovering from an ACL injury. So that's very cool. It's able to figure out like what we should do, where we should park, and stuff like that. This floating button is context aware. It knows like what URL you're on. So in this case, it knows I'm looking at Alghero. So I can start a chat with it if I have any questions about Alghero. This all gets saved onto my wiki profile and is considered when I plan a trip to Sardinia. These are kind of the sites to see. There's one other button there that you see with a map icon. That's to launch Google Maps. So that, if I have to do directions or whatnot, I can launch that on its own. This is mobile first, but I wanted to also have like a very beautiful desktop version of it. So yeah, here's the beach. All the images are created by or generated by Nano Banana, and I generated it all within the coding editor. It let me generate 140 images every 3 hours. So with the new versions of coding editors, you can run them through a loop with a cron job. So it just constantly after 3 hours would crank like 140 images. I generated close to 5,000 images for the destination and sub-destinations. Now this is the trip itself. As you can see, there's actually, okay, well, let's go here first. So here's the chat history that I had with Arya. I was debugging part of it, so I was pasting JSON, so just glance over that. So here I gave it kind of the airport information, and where we're staying. So it had that to start with. And then I kept pasting more and more information as Kate would send it to me. Um, but ideally here, Kate would, who's a Sardinian local, would, I have her as an editor, so she would go in here and ideally type in stuff to the AI and it would take it into consideration. So the only way you interact with your itinerary is all done through Aria, the AI. So if you want to make a change, you just type it into the chat and make a change there, which we did a lot. We changed a lot of the itinerary depending on where we were going. Like for example, we were going to go ride golf carts at this in the mountains somewhere, but all the golf carts were being serviced, so we had to do something else for that day. So made those changes. I also asked Arya to for all the places, the restaurants we were going to give me kind of the dollar sign range of it, the price range, as well as to change out some of the restaurants so that we weren't spending too much money on this trip. So it handled those really, really well. And yeah, you can see more of the the itinerary here. We actually never did the Neptune's grotto because it required 700 steps. But Arya was smart enough to know to suggest taking the boat so that we would bypass the steps that you would need to take from the place itself. You would end up directly at the grotto itself. So that was really cool. It took into consideration my wife's ACL recovery. Actually, if you look at the title, it says 2 adults sharing meals. Actually, that scrolls a little bit more. It should have the ACL injury in there as well. Here is an easy way to look through the days itself and see what you're doing, so you can scroll through it. It shows you on the map also the travel that you would be doing. Here's a link to TripAdvisor, so dynamically formulated, and there's your result. So you can go check it out. This is the agroturismo that we went to, which is the farm to table. And then the Google Maps, so you can open that, right? So you can do directions and whatnot straight on your phone. So this is the planner view. This only editors would be able to access this view. I can invite people that are not editors, just viewers, so that like the rest of my family, I'm going to invite soon so that they can view this themselves. And so that face pile over there is how you would control it. You would click on it, but I'll show you later. So here's a trip. There's the photos I uploaded, photos and videos, and it knows where it goes because of the GPS coordinates. This is how you would add them, or you can add them to each card at the bottom, but here is how you would bulk add them. So you could just click on photos and videos button. It'll launch your iOS photos, and then you could select whichever things you wanted to add in. And it'll add it in. And if there's GPS coordinates, it knows where to add it. If not, it'll use the date time to figure out, based on your itinerary, where it would fit, right? So dinner would fit like where you're having dinner that day. And this is also where you manage it. So you can organize, you could select certain ones and delete it, or you can move it to a specific row, or you could move the entire row over to something else. So say you change your itinerary and you actually did it on a Tuesday instead of a Wednesday, you could do that. This is the itinerary itself in visual mode. So you see this one has several media entries to it. You can click it for an immersive view. Okay, and then you could go through it as you please. That would be the immersive view. Mobile first, of course. Actually do some compression on the photos and images as you upload them on the browser. I didn't want to do it on the correct way to do it would be on the back end, but then you're spending a lot of money in terms of compute on that end, so I didn't want to do that. So the user's browser is free, so to generate those compression, but I just have to do it in a way that it doesn't crash the browser. So there's a lot of thought that went into that, but it works pretty well. These are kind of the food things that you should be eating. Yeah, and that's that. Here's the face pile that you can click on, and then you can add collaborators to it. You could add editors or viewers, depending on what you want to give them access to. This is a private itinerary, I could change it to public and make it open to everyone. All itineraries can be cloned by people that have access to it, but it doesn't clone the private stuff. Like it won't clone the images that I uploaded. So that's collaborators. Um, yeah, you could scroll through it. It's pretty nicely done. Um, and that travel DNA tab over there is where you would look at what the AI has about you. Here is the map view that I wanted to show you actually. And that's Aria. It's a culmination of everything I've learned with how to integrate LLMs, multimodal, and how to generate data and keep it very scalable and safe and secure. In 2024, I was still kind of hand coding a lot. I would use Cursor to understand a code base that I was coming into, because a lot of that could take a long time to understand what a specific uh, you know thousands of lines of code does. So Cursor was really good with that, but I still like to hand code a lot of that stuff because it was still pretty early on, and the models would maybe patch instead of fix the issue. And that's kind of like what my philosophy is, like finding root causes and fixing it there, right, upstream, so that you're not doing a lot of translations and unnecessary code towards the end to change the data model or whatnot. So that's a big change. Everything I build now, I use a coding editor. I'm able to do it much faster, able to prototype ideas quickly and explore kind of different approaches, able to set up an implementation plan so that right off the bat in the start, if I build out a robust implementation plan, I can find bugs and edge cases. With mobile, you're always thinking about offline mode. You're thinking about the GPU of the phone, which is not going to be as powerful as a computer. And I'm thinking through all these things, right, as I build the at least the front end of it. On the back end, I'm thinking about security. I'm thinking about scalability, what we can process offline versus on edge functions, depending on if it's a serverless environment or not, and how to save money with doing that, right? Because as you scale and get more users, it quickly adds up. In terms of someone that I admire in the AI space, I tend to follow Andrej Karpathy. He has the ability to take complex ideas and break them down to the fundamentals and able to explain them in a way that's simple and easy to understand. Also, his approach to solving problems is, like I said, that root cause, first principles way of doing things. So it's really a breath of fresh air when you find someone like that can take that can figure out solutions that are often like the simplest way to do it. Simple means less bugs, less logic, right? I think the best part is no part, is what they say. It's kind of a joke, but and in terms of Hero winning the marketplace, I think that there's a lot of tools that you can use to generate video, and it's getting to the point that the lighting is correct, and there's still probably a problem with the length of video that you can create, and also managing reference images and keeping consistency of style. So that's, I think, where Hero can play, and also the ability to manage all that workflow in one place. I think that's also still missing. So that's where I see Hero really shining if it's done in a very intuitive way. I've actually built out my own way to handle these things. I've been animating my books, so I built just software on my computer that reads the book, grabs the script, parses it down to 30-second segments, each with 10 each with three parts, because I use Grok Imagine to do it. I need to be able to generate 10-second clips and stitch it together. So I do have a lot of experience with video and tooling and how to build it in a way that it would work for me. I'm very curious to see how you guys do it. And outside of work, passionate about health, fitness, and longevity. I think this is kind of like the next wave of where things are going, with using AI to, figure out ways to make humans live longer, maybe even regenerate teeth or parts of the body. I think that's completely doable. We just haven't figured that out yet. But physically, there is physics behind it, so it's like, why can't we do that? I'm always looking for ways to improve like how I live, but I do like, I enjoy the simple things like a great cup of coffee or learning something new that changes the way I think. I have two little kids. We're very musically oriented, so we'll have band practice, and it's super fun. And I like to travel from time to time. Usually, we'll do like one trip a year, and we'll focus on kind of experiencing the actual culture behind a destination, and that's kind of why I built Aria, to kind of help me figure out like what I want to get, from my travels. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much for your time.